So welcome to Red, Yellow, Green, What Goes Where. It's a pleasure to introduce the entrepreneurial and resourceful women who will be leading the session. Sharon from Our Daily Waste and Lesley from Eco Educate. They're going to explain what happens to our waste and recycling, reveal the cons and catches in our current system, and generally myth-bust waste. Once they've set the scene, they'll answer your questions, so please put them into the chat. So now I will hand it over to Lesley and Sharon.
Kia ora koutou, everybody, and thank you for having us at this session. It's really exciting to be part of it. Now, I've got a little bit of a poll that I would love for you to put your hand up on your screen so that we can see. But who has heard that recycling is no longer being recycled? Couple of people, yeah. It seems to be a bit of a myth out there. Well, I'm here to tell you that if that was the case, then neither Lesley or I would be sitting here right now because we wouldn't actually have businesses. So that's one myth that we're going to bust right now. But as I really like the fact that Kahurangi just pointed out that plastic is the problem and that it is not, I really like that it's downcycling, it's not recycling. So there are a lot of issues with plastics recycling at the moment, and things are changing all the time, as you'll be aware, with now just the 1, 2 and 5s recyclable. And that is one of the main issues. And unfortunately, everybody's hearing the issues about that and kind of deciding that that means that nothing's getting recycled. But that is not the case. Some plastics are still being recycled. But I'll hand over to Lesley at this point.
Thank you, kia ora. So yeah, that lovely myth that it all goes to landfill. Well, it does if it is wrong or dirty. And honestly, having looked in people's bins for the last year, we've seen literally everything. It's a whole pile of food I'll never eat again. So it's really, really important you check with your local council about what can go in your bin, because it's not a nationwide standard, and that it's clean and it's correct. And if you're in doubt, can you please put it in your red bin? But before you even get to that stage, perhaps start asking yourself about the things that you can reduce or reuse, or not even have in the first place, that whole rethinking of waste, so that we're not actually having to even contemplate whether we can recycle it, rot it, etc. And ask questions and rely on people, please, who have the right information. The myths on social media make both Sharon and I laugh at times, but also make us realise we won't be unemployed anytime soon. Sharon, what would you like to add?
Yes, I like that Lesley calls it rethinking waste. I call it waste prevention, not so much waste reduction, but actually preventing it before it comes waste. As it is. And I think too, another really important thing to remember is that we can all be social media warriors now. And if you find something that you don't like, that particular packaging, it's a few clicks away to actually go back to the manufacturers and tell them what you think of it, and why it's not a great piece of packaging and that as well. But yeah, I guess we're mostly here to answer people's questions. So is there anything that we've got?
Not at this point, but please pop your questions or any comments into the chat now so Sharon and Lesley can see.
Who's busy typing?
Yeah.
Oh, fruit stickers, the bane of my life. I hate them. I mean, thousands, if not millions, I found at the bottom of worm farms. I get schools to make sticker charts. They literally pick off all their fruit stickers, they stick them on the piece of paper, and they take them back to the supermarket or the producer who stuck them on in the first place. Yeah, I am into child exploitation in schools. Oh, sorry, education. So yeah, there is a move coming to make them paper. It's not happening fast enough for some of us. I do know there's people who pick them off in the supermarket and leave them. Never been quite that brave. Farmers markets don't put stickers on fruit.
In general. I'm just seeing a question here. What is the worst thing you've found in a bin? Mine for me was 4 orange juice bottles when I was doing a waste audit at the University of Canterbury, and when I found them in the landfill bin, and they were all filled with what I thought was orange juice, except it wasn't. And it turned out, and I hope nobody's eating at this point, it turned out that it was the urine samples from testosterone patch tests. So you can imagine when I opened the bottle, the smell of it was really disgusting. And I'd just like to comment that if any of you ever do need to find yourself needing to dispose of some urine, there's a really good place for it, and it's called a toilet. But that's just sort of one of the things. Somebody else has put, places you suggest people shop for food to reduce packaging waste? I'm actually going to be dealing with that in the next session, so I won't get too much into it here, but farmers markets, bulk food stores, bartering, there's all sorts of things now, and more places like fruit and veggie places will take your reusable bags and things as well.
The worst thing I found in recycling, it would take a lot, I guess, to beat fish curry at 2 weeks of age. Human ashes, yep, she don't like grandma. Please don't leave her in the recycling bin. Sanitary items, condoms, nappies. Human poo, how do we know it's human? Well, dogs don't leave notes in toilet paper. So yeah, literally everything. It's a real insight into human behaviour.
I've noticed here what plastics get shipped overseas and what we should be doing that or trying to replace those plastics. If you mean what plastics get shipped overseas to recycle, all plastics get shipped overseas to recycle. And somebody else has put what is happening to the recycling with the plastics. Well, as Kaharangi mentioned, it's downcycled. They usually get made into things that can no longer be recycled after that. So polar fleece is one, for instance, and of course that's highly problematic because it also sheds plastic fibres. The soft plastic recycling that is happening at the supermarkets, last I heard, and Lesley, you might be able to correct me on this one, I can see your grin now, was that it was being sent to Australia to be turned into playground equipment and park benches and things, but nobody was actually wanting to buy them. So that was why it stopped for a while. So that is that. Lesley, I'll hand over to you if you've got any more answers there.
Soft plastic, so currently not happening in Christchurch under level 3, as I understand it. It's very hard for us as educators to get answers to questions from the soft plastics people, which raises my alarm bells. Australia's not taking it anymore. It is being processed in New Zealand. Honestly, you've got to ask yourself, some of this single-use plastic do we even need in the first place? I'm still struggling to understand why bananas need a plastic wrap. So that's your power of your wallet. Don't buy it. Shop differently.
Sorry, Lesley, Tetra Paks, no, not recyclable. Interesting story about this. When I started, they were recyclable originally, and then they kept staying, even though the Eco Central didn't have anywhere to send them to be recycled and said, no, it actually needs to go to landfill. Unfortunately, the Christchurch City Council kept it on their messaging because it was in the contract to take them. So there was a lot of really confused messaging about that, but please put your Tetra Paks into your landfill. Great that lower flight plastics are using 1 and 2 to make fruit trays. That's the kind of thing, sorry, I didn't realise when I said it was all being sent overseas. And this is how difficult it is to keep up with the recycling industry. And I'm just looking at this question from Annette. Why does the council not give really good and constant advertising? They try. It's just that it is constantly changing, and that even Lesley and I have to keep up to we've almost got Avril from Eco Central on a hotline to go, oh my God, is this recyclable? I'm constantly coming across things with events. Quickly, I also noticed an early question. Somebody asked what we actually do. I run our daily waste. We do a lot of hand sorting and things at events. We're also lately have been doing a lot of consultancy, so we do waste audits. And of late, I've also been working at Westfield Riccarton doing a waste room trial where we've been hand sorting up until lockdown, where we were hand sorting all their waste and diverting as much as we could to see what could happen. So that's sort of what my expertise is. Lesley, you're...
So I'm probably answering the next question. So Eco-Educate is in the business of educating people about rethinking their waste and looking after water. You can find us on the internet. We have a website. We have quite an active Facebook page, and we're there to help and support. We're funded by Ashburton District Council, Waimakariri District Council, Weebit and Selwyn, and we have some work we do in Christchurch through Eco Central. So get in touch, because we're there to help, make it fun, easy, and get you thinking and taking some action. We're all about action, actually, more than talk. And we work with, on a good week, 1,000 to 2,000 people we connect with. And we're in 232 schools, preschools and high schools, plus the community.
Yep. And we're all about action as well, literally, because most of the work that I do comes from going through people's bins. And we've seen it all at events, waste audits, you name it. There is something that's actually, I do worry about my head and the fact that I quite enjoy it, and we love it. Like at Riccarton recently, all of our crew were loving when we could actually go, oh, who's this? And we'd find an address and we'd find an EFTPOS receipt and we go, got them. And so there's something that we really enjoy about seeing everybody's dirty little secrets, as it were. Possibly I'm quite masochistic. Right, did we miss out on any questions? Oh, what are your thoughts on mining landfills? I personally think that we are going to be mining landfills in less time than we think. When I first visited the Cape Valley landfill, the manager, I said to him, at what point do you think we're going to be mining landfills? And he laughed and he said, you've thought about this? And I said, I absolutely have. So I think that we should actually be stopping it from going to landfills first, because it's also going to cost an awful lot of money to mine them. But I think that will be our future rather than using virgin resources.